Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Fun and Games Side Quest. My name is Samuel Tolbert. I'm a freelance writer and I cover gaming over at Windows Central, as well as its sister sites Android Central and iMore. Today, I'd like to share my love of Arkane Studios' 2016 gem and what I believe is one of the most underrated games this entire generation. I'm referring, of course, to the action immersive sim Dishonored 2. Now, what is an immersive sim? I know this is a very ill-defined genre. People will argue back and forth. Can you have elements of an immersive sim in a game without actually belonging in the genre? Do all games that are labeled immersive sims really belong there? Etc., etc. I'm not interested in that debate. I just know that Dishonored 2 definitely fits the bill of an immersive sim, and that's why I love it. Now, it's impossible to talk about Dishonored 2 and why I love it without diving in a little on the original game. The original Dishonored was Arkane's first big break, essentially after a long string of failed projects like The Crossing and having to resort to support work on projects like BioShock 2 in order to keep the studio afloat. Bethesda took a risk on Arkane, and it paid off massively in dividends with 2012's Dishonored. Dishonored presented a very simple idea on paper. You have been, quite literally, dishonored. Your empress is dead, the rightful ruler following her is kidnapped, everyone thinks you did it. How are you going to get revenge? But then the game does something very interesting, right? Because it gives you the ability to choose how you get revenge. Are you going to kill every single person in your path? Or are you going to find creative alternatives and not kill anyone? Keep your hands clean in a technical sense, but still making sure they suffer. Which one is really the better, more moral option? And it was a great game, but then Arkane realized they had to up their game, quite literally, with Dishonored 2. And that pays off because the presentation, the lighting, the graphical quality, the controls, the options the player has, they've all been increased massively. And this is something really important because it lends to that sense of literal immersion, and it fights back at the idea of ludonarrative dissonance. Now, what on earth is ludonarrative dissonance? It's a phrase that was originally coined by Clint Hocking, a writer over at Ubisoft who worked on Far Cry 2. He's now working on the upcoming Watch Dogs Legion. Ludonarrative, of course, is a compound of ludology and narrative, ludology being the study of games. Narrative speaks for itself. Ludonarrative dissonance, as a result, is the idea that there's a disconnect between a player character's actions and the player themselves. That if in a game, for example, and you can think of many that fit the bill here, you go on a killing spree, the player themselves are not going to empathize with the player character because that killing spree makes no sense, because you were forced to do it. You had no other alternative that you were given. But Dishonored, and more importantly, its sequel Dishonored 2, fight back against that idea. They say no, blood is quite literally on your hands or not. You have the choice. Every single person, from the lowest peasant to the highest, ranking official in all of Dunwall, you have the option of how you're going to proceed here. And Arkane designed Dishonored 2 not around just one protagonist, but two. You can play as Corvo Attano, the character of the original game, or you can play as his daughter, Emily Caldwin, the rightful ruler. And you choose which character you're going to play as, of course, from the beginning, and then after that, it never relents. How are you going to solve this mad genius who is, creating a mechanical army for your opponents? How do you deal with evil witches who have helped, in a coup to depose you from your throne? And the attention to detail and the quality, that's the reason I fell in love with this game. And all of Arkane's games in general, but Dishonored 2 more specifically, because so many games promise, bigger, better worlds, more open worlds, more freedom, your choices matter, and I find they never do because I can't empathize. I don't care about what a character is doing, and I don't feel rightfully judged. That's not to say there isn't a place for those kinds of stories, but there aren't enough of the kinds of games where you get to do what you want and you're actually judged for that, not being railroaded along some blockbuster cinematic path that was already laid out for you and the people you kill have already been decided for you. I like choosing, hey, wait a minute, is it really right for me to kill this person? They were just doing their job. They didn't know about this. Or maybe, yeah, oh no, that person definitely needs to die. That's the kind of choice that resonates with me in games, and it's not something we really see a lot. We don't really see many immersive sims. We don't see many games that recognize that kind of choice, and we certainly don't see them, if they do exist, on the quality and the presentation level that Dishonored 2 provides. I mean, my god, this game is still gorgeous, and I'm still discovering new things that I can do, new ways that the systems interact with each other. It's so stupid, but if you shoot an arrow into an apple, or a crossbow bolt more specifically, and then you eat that apple, you'll take damage. And that's stupid, right? But it's also really cool. It's attention to detail. It's the idea that, yes, you can't just do anything and then get away with it. If you knock someone out, you do a chokehold, and then, you're trying to put their body in a safe place. If you drop them too far, they're going to die. That is on your hands because they wouldn't be in that situation if it weren't for you. You can create these elaborate Rube Goldberg-esque, chain reactions of death and destruction if you so choose by, hacking mechanical enemies and forcing them to go against their opponents. And that's so cool. I like games that recognize creativity. I like a playground full of tools and toys and interesting things, and it says, hey, I trust you. Go wild. You'll be judged for it, but go wild. Do what you can come up with the tools that we have provided. There's not enough of that in games, and honestly, Dishonored 2 didn't sell very well, so I'm very concerned that there's not going to be a lot of them. And I'll tell you what, if you really, really want to be sold on this game, go out and go look on YouTube or Google and search in like Dishonored 2 kill compilations, and you will find many players who are far, far more skilled at the game than I am have put together these very, very, very elaborate chain reactions of how they're chaining together different kills, how they're pulling off different moves, how you're getting through different levels. It's a bit of a spoiler, but the game came out 4 years ago, so in one particular section called the Clockwork Mansion, it's called that because it's made of clockwork mechanical parts, right? And everything is shifting around, and you can go the route you want, you can play the way you want to play, blah, blah, blah. But here's the coolest thing. To get to your assassination target, you never actually have to go inside the mansion. Not within it per se. You can just skirt the walls. You can just skirt, around and outside and jump around a little bit, and then you're done. If you know where you're looking, if you know where you're going, if you're not distracted by all the glitz and the glamour that the game shoves in your face, because it's like a card trick. It's trying to deceive you. It's beautiful level design, and level design that, frankly, we just don't see anymore, except from Arkane. So that's why I love Dishonored 2, because it's a game that recognizes the player's intelligence and creativity and allows them to resonate more with the story that's being told, even if it's on a simple personal scale. And I hope you enjoyed my rambling thoughts, and remember, happy gaming.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.